What is up, guys? Jimmy here with another Lots of Games video. Thanks so much for clicking on this video. I really appreciate it. I hope all of you guys have had an incredible holiday season. I hope you guys have a great new year. I really hope you have an incredible 2017. If you had any challenges, that you'll be able to overcome those in the coming year, and also any goals and things you want to achieve in 2017. I hope you guys reach all your goals and all your dreams. I really wish the best for you. Definitely let me know in the comment section below what you guys are hoping for 2017 and what you're hoping to achieve and what goals you're hoping to reach. If I know not all of you guys set goals, but some of you guys might, let me know in the comment section below. So, Tekken, Dead or Alive, Super Smash Bros., Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue, Soul Calibur, King of Fighters, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Virtua Fighter, Killer Instinct, Marvel vs. Capcom. These are just some of the games in the fighting genre, or series in the fighting genre. And, you know, I'm a huge fan of the fighting series, fighting games. And a little while ago, we had the PlayStation Experience. And during one of the days, they kind of made this surprise announcement. They were like, hey, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is coming to the PS4. And by the way, it's coming tonight. And actually, Capcom reached out to me. They just gave me a code out of the blue. So thanks so much to Capcom. This is the gameplay you're watching for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Lately, guys, I've been thinking about the question about the fighting game or the fighting series genre. Are fighting games as a whole, are they dying? Now, obviously, I would say some of the peaks or highlights of the fighting game genre were like when the Tekken games were on the PS1, those games sold like crazy. And of course, probably the ultimate success was Street Fighter 2 when it was on the SNES and Genesis. And I remember growing up seeing like seemed like little shack or store had a Street Fighter 2 arcade cabinet, because the Street Fighter 2 arcade cabinets were in a lot of places and made a lot of stores a lot of money. But I've been thinking about lately, past several months, are fighting games dying? And, you know, I've been thinking about this, of course. A lot of you know that, unfortunately, Street Fighter V has kind of been struggling in sales. I love Street Fighter V. It definitely had a really bumpy start. Interesting to note, though, I did a little research, and at least in the US, Street Fighter V sold around the same amount of copies its first week in the US on the PS4 versus the amount of copies that Street Fighter IV sold on the PS3 in its first week in the US. The big difference between Street Fighter IV on the PS3 and Street Fighter V on the PS4 was that, you know, even though they sold around the same amount of copies their first week, as the weeks went on, the Street Fighter 4 continued to sell well week after week on the PS3 versus Street Fighter 5 drastically dropped off, and the amount of numbers really went down a lot. I think a lot of gamers that were diehard Street Fighter fans were going to buy it no matter what for the first week, but I think a lot of gamers who were kind of on the fence, they saw the reviews and they saw some of the feedback on how Street Fighter 5, when it launched, it was too bare bones and there weren't enough features and there weren't enough modes to justify paying the $60 price tag. And so I honestly think, you know, if it was more full, robust, and it had more modes to it, it would have sold more. Definitely now is the time to buy Street Fighter V, because it's a lot more of a complete, enjoyable experience versus when it first launched, and you'd be able to pick it up a lot cheaper than that $60 price tag. So some would say, well, you know, it wasn't really feature rich, but at the same time, people really aren't into fighting games. I actually would have to disagree with that. I think maybe, obviously, there aren't as many fighting fans as there were in the past, but I think there are still a lot of fighting fans out there. I'm excited to see that Capcom is going to be releasing a new Marvel vs. Capcom game. I believe it's Infinite. And we're getting a Tekken 7. I would absolutely love it if there was a new Virtua Fighter game. One of my favorite fighting games of last generation was Virtua Fighter 5. I love that game. I thought it was an incredible fighter, very enjoyable. But here's the thing I want to kind of talk about briefly, you know, with that question, because I did some research. Are fighting games dying? When Mortal Kombat 9 was released on the PS3 back in 2011. Up until this date, Mortal Kombat 9 has sold on the PS3 2,840,000 copies, which isn't too bad considering it's on one platform. And so cut to the Mortal Kombat 10, which I believe was released in 2015. So Mortal Kombat 10 has been out over a year. Mortal Kombat 10 up until this point has sold 2,780,000 copies. Now, granted, it hasn't been out as long as Mortal Kombat 9, but if you consider the amount of years Mortal Kombat 9 has been out and the amount of years that Mortal Kombat 10 has been out, so Mortal Kombat 10 on the PS4 is definitely going to eclipse and sell more copies when you compare Mortal Kombat 9 on the PS3. So there are, in fact, this is an example where Mortal Kombat 10 sold very well. Actually, I think it sold around 2 times the amount. It sold around 500,000 copies its first week in the US. So it's around twice the amount of copies on the PS4 when you compare it to Street Fighter V on the PS4. There's still a lot of fighting fans out there, and this is a good example because Mortal Kombat 10 on the PS4, Mortal Kombat 10 in general, had lots of modes. It had lots to do, and it had a great story mode. Just a fantastic game, fantastic series. So fighting games, again, they are not doing maybe as well as they did when Street Fighter 2 was released on the Super Nintendo, or Street Fighter 2 in the arcades, but nevertheless, there are still a lot of gamers out there that are eager and willing to support the fighting game genre. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on the fighting game genre, where your hopes are for 2017, 2018, if there's a new game in the series of a fighting game, whether it's Dead or Alive or Virtua Fighter. Let me know in the comment section below what games, fighting games you're fans of. But as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you later.